Hello everyone, Dev Victoria is here, and in this video I'm going to start to show you how did I added a saucer to the game. This is going to be like a video mini series within the series, because instead of creating one gigantic video, I decided to divide it into three parts. Because the goal is to fake this saucer. I did not want it to create this hole from geometry, because that would mean that I would have more geometry that I would need it otherwise. So I decided that I'm going to fake the rendering, fake the physics for capturing the ball, and also fake the physics for releasing the ball. And that is the reason why there will be three videos. In this first video, we are going to focus on how we can fake the rendering of this saucer. The main inspiration for these videos and the way I did it in the game came from Quill18's video about how to make fake holes. Actually, he dealt with a similar problem, but he explained how to do the fake rendering and how to capture the ball, but I would like to go one step further and working on how we can release the ball as well. But first, before we deep dive into that, I would like to show you that I changed the rendering into the hybrid renderer V2, because this renderer is much better than the V1, obviously. You can do this by invoking the project settings, and in the player settings, the scripting define symbols, you have to enter this enable hybrid renderer V2. And the other thing is you have to make sure that you set the graphics API the way is best for your platform. Under Linux, you have to set it to Vulkan. And generally speaking, there is this hybrid renderer examples. And in this project, the hybrid renderer V2 is set up correctly for each platform. And if you got some rendering errors, like this one, the shader either is not compatible with the hybrid renderer V2, is missing dots instancing on, and so on, etc. So if you got this sort of weird errors, it could indicate that the graphics API that you are using is not set up correctly. So we are here in Blender, and I would like to show you the models for the saucers. Basically, I've got two things. This lid kind of thing is the depth mask. This mesh is going to help us to define a masked area for the saucer, and the saucer itself is like a bucket basically, with tiny wall around it. So I imported them into Unity, and this is how the saucer target looks like, and this is how actually you can't see let's just put in temporarily the ground material here. So this is the saucer saucer depth mask. But so, how can we do this to make appear as a depth mask? Actually, in Q18's video, and also there are several Unity threads here. This depth mask shader thread is like the same, it refers the same video as I did, and basically the same solution is suggested here, that what it can be found in Q18's video. And also there are two other tutorials which are using stencils. But unfortunately, I cannot make this work with the stencils, so I decided that I'm going to go with this shader. And actually, what I found is that the Q, it doesn't really matter where you set it, because you can override this. But if you set it to geometry by default, it is going to be just fine. So what you should do is just create a shader in Unity by using any of the shader commands here, and just change the code to be like this. And then what you should do is create a material for this. This is the whole shader material. And as you can see, you can adjust this to be anything in the render queue. It's the same thing as if you would hard code anything. So in this way, you don't have to take the hard coded value. So let's assign this to the saucer depth mask. But let's say the saucer material, actually it has in the, this is a URP lit material basically. But in the advanced settings, there are these priority things. If I set this to 1, for example, then it doesn't render properly. If it set it to 0, it doesn't render either. If it set it to -1, then it renders already well. So basically the mask creates a depth map or something, and behind that we can render this whole properly. And also there could be a problem with the ball. Let's see, if I set the ball's material priority to 0, what happens there? So the ball is coming, and as you can see, the ball, the lower part of the ball from this angle is not rendered well, because this priority is 0. But if I set the priority to -1, then the ball all of a sudden is going to render well. So let's just check. It preserved the -1 setting. So this is how the rendering of the saucer can be faked. But you might also wonder, why do I have this non-dots part here for these meshes? Actually, the reason for it, that if you take a look at this shader, this says this shader is not SRP Batcher compatible. But in the hybrid renderer V2, we can only use shaders that are SRP Batcher compatible. I am totally not an expert how to make this shader compatible with the SRP Becher. So I decided that basically I don't really have much other choice than to put in on those parts for now. Maybe later I'm going to take a look at how can I make it SRP Becher compatible. And since the depth mask should be put it here, I decided that I'm going to put the target here as well, even though that this would work if the saucer itself would be in the dots part. But in order to keep the logic simple, that the rendering side is here and the physical logic is here, so to speak, it makes this grouping sensible, if you like, or this grouping could make some sense. So I think that was it for this video. In the next one, I'm going to show you the physics setup for capturing the ball. How can we achieve that in dots? So I hope I see you there, and until then, goodbye for now.